Good morning, or afternoon, or evening. Welcome to this week's ADHD focused employment briefing. If you're new to this, I forget the camera's up here, but my face is down there and it's confusing. Which everybody's new to this because this is my first time doing it. My goal my goal is to walk you through what's happening in the job market. Something that I'm getting increasingly frustrated by is the news and how it like gives you these numbers and statistics and stuff. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And like, this doesn't make sense. And last month you said this, and then this week this happened, and it's kind of confusing. And I was like, this is not my client's experience, right? The unemployment rate's low, but you're like, well, why can't people find jobs? And I was like, you know what? I want to make a video about this. And this is the first of what will be videos at least once a month on this specific topic of like people who are looking for jobs. This is important to me because I love being an ADHD career coach, and I live in the DC area, and my friends, former colleagues are impacted by the job market here. And I want to give back in my own way. And not everybody can afford coaching or is ready for coaching or wants coaching even. And so I thought I would do that through my YouTube channel. So that's why we're here today. Okay, let's get going. So in true ADHD fashion, I just want to say this first. I spent the last 30 minutes, like I was like, should I do this in Loom or Zoom or whatever? I spent the last 30 minutes, which is pretty good for me, on a rabbit hole, down a rabbit hole, learning an entirely new piece of software. Like brand new, never used it before. But I was like, I gotta get this right. And I'm like, Bruce, you're supposed to be recording a video, not learning new software to record the video. So if this is rough around the edges, it's supposed to be, because it's my first time I'm doing it, and I'm not letting perfect be the enemy of the good. Done is better than perfect. And this is what I would have my clients do. I would say, just get out there and get started. So that's what we're doing. All right, let's talk about the numbers. March rebounded, but the underlying picture is fragile. You can also read the heading there. When you zoom out, the 3-month average is still low. And this is because, or hang on, let me read what's here. Says we got 178,000 more jobs in March. Unemployment rate is down to 4.3 from 4.4 in February. But the reality is that, where's my paper? In February, I think I'll do that next. In February, they redid the numbers. And so what happened is that instead of job gains, we actually lost 133,000 jobs in February. That didn't make the headlines, I don't think. So the average is we're gaining 68,000 jobs per month, which is not a lot of jobs for a lot of people. And most recently, the labor force shrank by close to 400,000. And you're like, all right, well, what does it mean when the labor force shrinks? Well, it could be people are retiring. They could be like a primary caregiver in their household. Maybe they're not doing well, or maybe they are discouraged. Maybe you are discouraged and you are just like, screw it. I'm not going to bother even looking. But because this takes people out of the numerator or denominator or both of them, the unemployment rate can go down and you're thinking, oh, it's great. But really, that's just people are not actually in the labor force anymore, which is not great. I did a preview of this already, it turns out. The February was revised sharply down. The 3-month average of 68,000 jobs. There's no jobs. One economist noted almost no hiring since last April. That's crazy. If you're curious, I did these slides in Gamma. I will tell you, I could not do a PowerPoint presentation from scratch. I open up, that thing is blinking, and I'm like, I just can't. But here I do the whole write it all out, and then I put it in the Gamma, and it makes these slides. So if you see weird words or pictures, that's what happens. And I'm still learning how to use all these tools. Next. Who's feeling it most? Well, as usual, the impact is uneven. There's higher unemployment rates for Black workers, teens, and rising long-term unemployment. Teens used to always be able to find a job, and now they have high unemployment rates. And something that I want to call out is the long-term unemployment. 1 in 4 people who are unemployed have been unemployed for more than 6 months. And that creates some challenges, which I'll talk about later. But just think about that. Like, it's hard enough to be out of a job, and then you actually you've been out of a job for more than 6 months. And there's something about not working, especially in this like capitalist society we're in. Don't worry, I'm not going to go on a tirade. It's like, ew, you don't have a job? Like, it's like, how are you living? You know, it's like, it's crazy. And 6 months is a long time to not have income coming in. It's a long time to not feel like you're doing things that you like or even kind of like and earning a decent amount of money and being able to meet your responsibilities and have fun. Like, it's a long time. 1/4 of people are in that position. Some of my clients are. It's frustrating. It's frustrating and it's sad to talk about. The long-term unemployment penalty. So here's the thing. 6 months, we start to say like, that is a milestone. It is a milestone for a couple of reasons. One is it's harder to get a job after you've been out of the market for 6 months. Not because you aren't qualified, but because the ATS, the applicant tracking system that a lot of people are familiar with, where the robots read your resume, what they do is like, they don't think for themselves. They follow the rules that are set by the employers. So companies often filter for employment gaps. So you can get screened out if they're like, you know, screen out people who have a gap greater than 6 months or who have been unemployed for the last 6 months. So even if you're qualified, your resume might never even get seen, which is why the networking part is important here, which I'll talk about in future videos. Look at this. Harvard research found that about half of companies use filters excluding applicants with gaps longer than 6 months. Like, the challenge here through the ADHD lens is we have a lot more jobs. We have gaps in between jobs often. And it's like, man, you can't catch a break. You know, if you took some time off to get your mind right or to get healthy or to take care of somebody else, you could have the same credentials on paper, but the ATS will filter you out because you've been out of work for more than 6 months. Like, that's crazy to me. It's not fair. On top of that, I already talked about this. The ATS is policy driven, not inherent. So the robot is not doing it. They've programmed the robot to overlook your resume. But here's the thing. Also at 6 months, it's like there's a psychological spiral. Like, your confidence is in the shitter. You're not getting a lot of you're not getting a lot of callbacks. You're not getting a lot of interviews. It takes 42 to 44 days to get hired. And if you are involved in an interview process and then you get to the end and you weren't selected, that's all that time. It feels like it was a waste of your time. I think that's the wrong way to frame it, but I'm just saying what it could feel like. And you start to feel like you're losing ground. right? The world keeps going on. That feeling when you're at a light and it's a yellow light and the person in front of you, it seems like they speed up. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they just go at a normal pace. But you're slowing down because the light's red and it feels like they just floored it, right? This idea of rejection sensitive dysphoria, which I talk about a lot with my clients, right? We take these signs or the absence of other signs that we are being rejected, like we are fundamentally being rejected as people. And it's beyond guilt. It's deeper than shame. It's just sense of like, I am an unworthy, unemployable, unlovable person. Like, we feel that shit really deeply. Everybody feels that, but we feel it more acutely. What's my point here? Because this was kind of dark. It's not your fault, right? This market is tough. People aren't leaving roles. Companies are still laying people off, but not at the same rate. There's a sort of gridlock because now people are afraid to leave because they think I won't be able to get another job. So they don't leave. Companies don't fire them or lay them off. You're like, we rely on people like moving around to roles and trying different things and taking risks. And people are job hugging, which is the term to just say, I ain't leaving this job because I might not be able to get one as good. It's tough. It's tough to get an entry into the market right now. Especially if you work for the government or you previously worked for the government. This is crazy to me. The DMV lost more jobs. The DMV, that's the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia, the parts of us that are close together. We lost more jobs, not like relatively speaking or like based on percentages, but like in numbers. One of the hardest hit major metro areas across the country. And it used to be like you would work in government and then you would go to the private sector for a little bit, then go back to government. The private sector said, we can't absorb those jobs. The jobs are in hospitality, healthcare, construction for data centers. And the people who are no longer have federal jobs are white collar knowledge workers who spent a lot of time. Some of these people are my friends. They did all of the things. They went to school. They got the undergraduate degree. They got the graduate degree. They got the certifications. They got the expertise. They got the experience. And now there aren't jobs that align with what they know how to do because those jobs are gone. This is hard to talk about. Healthcare is growing. Social assistance is growing. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a second. But we're still waiting on some data, but we had the shutdown. How tacky, right? The government shutdown. So many of those these days. Very tacky. Very, very tacky. And construction jobs for data center. If you are in the project management, product design, maybe not product design so much, definitely project management, operations. I feel like there's a way to make this work. And if you're one of my clients, we'll talk about this. But it's hard out here, essentially. Let's see. Oh, here are some things, some highlights. If you're in the DMV, there are still resources available. Free project management certifications, data and AI programs, and pro bono free executive coaching. So if you're in transition, this is a moment to think about positioning, not just applying. This is huge, y'all. Mayor Bowser in DC launched this talent capital, the talent capital initiative. And I was like, let me look into this. What is going on here? So I went to the website and they have job postings. Let me show you. And you can learn about job fairs. Look at this. Let me show you. They got job fairs going on. Here are the industries that are going to be there. They have where is it for the coaching? Career agent, blah, 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 blah. You can get free training. No cost PMP training. Do you know how much I paid for PMP training? Man, free executive coaching. Wait a minute. There's one here. I was looking at this. Digital marketing training. Learn SEO, social media content strategy, email marketing, and campaign analytics. Come on. That will help me in my business right now. Look at this. Stuff at Trinity, Montgomery County, UDC. Look at this. A no-cost 9-month self-paced for DC area learners. Build skills in Python, SQL, machine learning, automation, data visualization, and AI. Come on. For free. You got to get out there. You got to look around. You got to do stuff, which I know y'all are doing, but I'm just pointing this out. And here is the thing. Let me go to this next slide here. I'm going to listen. So listen, I know Palantir, we got different thoughts on like what they doing and, so I'm not trying to be you. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is they have a fellowship specifically for neurodivergent folks. You don't even have to disclose that you're neurodivergent. Now you need to be a software engineer. Here's what their CEO, Alex Karp, said. Look at me looking like a reporter. Palantir CEO Alex Karp publicly stated that in the AI era, the two types of workers most likely to succeed are skilled tradespeople and neurodivergent individuals. Who's neurodivergent? Different definitions. ADHD, ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Could be people who have learning disabilities, dyslexia, all of the ixias. These fellowships are open in New York and Washington, D.C. and pays from $110,000 to $200,000. I was like, I got to look this up because I don't believe it. But here it is. I went to their job board. They're not asking you to have a degree either. They're saying, let me find it. No formal diagnosis or disclosure required. Oh, wait, where is it? Blah, 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 blah. Self-taught, formally educated, or somewhere in between. We're looking for builders who can see patterns others miss and solutions others overlook, because that's what we do. So, on one hand, we're seeing people see the advantage of hiring folks who are neurodivergent. Now, there was also some. Oh, well, hang on. Before I get there. What are those traits? In case you didn't know, pattern recognition. Non-clinical definition here. But our minds are everywhere. They're everywhere. Everywhere. Taking all kinds of stuff in, too much stuff in. Some stuff we get overstimulated. But we take all this stuff in and because we're able to see so much more. Like, I need to hire somebody again. And I was like, I feel like I want my person to have ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. I feel like I want both because there's just a different way we think. It's different and we need to be in a supportive environment, but with the right support and structure, we can do anything we want to do. And if we're in the right position where where they need us to recognize patterns, where they need us to think like a systems analyst. How many times have you said, if you're neurodivergent, you want me to do what? Well, that's stupid because earlier you said you wanted this and you want me to do this. This is going to get you this, not this. Now we have to learn how to say that in a way that is received without getting fired. Right? But we got the instincts. We got the instincts. We just got to learn how to use them. Whew, really excited about this. New research and the disclosure gap. Let me go to my notes here because I didn't, hang on. At the same time, the research shows a gap. A significant number of neurodivergent workers don't disclose and don't request accommodations. 37% don't disclose. This, honestly, this surprised me that this many people did disclose. I didn't disclose at any job until my very last one before I started coaching full time. And thank goodness I had an amazing boss who I was like, look, it's under control, but let me just tell you what I'm working with and what I need sometimes. And here's what this looks like. Sometimes I might need you to help me prioritize. And boy, was he good at prioritizing. So that worked out well. But I get it. Some people are still like ADHD. Oh, that means you hyperactive and you can't focus. You know, so I get it. And I mean, you got to use, I don't know, this is tricky to say this, but like, you got to think about the costs, right? There's definitely a cost in sharing the diagnosis, but there's also a cost in not. And knowing what I know now, I would be requesting accommodations from the very beginning. You don't have to say they're accommodations. I feel like people read between the lines. But like if you're applying for a job, you can say, I do my best work, you know, when I can have like the questions in advance. Is there any way you could let me know the questions or competencies that you're going to be covering so that I can be at my best when we meet, you know? Or you can do the full accommodation request. I know it's a tight market and maybe you don't want to disclose, but you also don't want to get the interview and then choke. Think about it. Whew. Okay, let's look at the DMV at a glance. What's growing? Healthcare, construction and data center jobs, cybersecurity and defense, cybersecurity and defense technology. Yes, I got clients in that and they are doing their thing. Shrinking, federal government, professional services, all of the nonprofits, think tanks, all that. Let me just stop here for a second and say how crazy this is. DC, to have so many people unemployed in DC is wild because it's like the government. There was so many people who worked for the government or who worked close to government. What's that word? Pseudo-governmental or non-governmental. Yeah, NGOs, non-governmental agencies, NGA, whatever. It's weird. And you know what I'll say? Years ago, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I was ignorant. I was learning. Listen, I was not, don't hold this against me now, or you can hold it against me. I recognize I've grown. There was a lot of news about like Appalachia and like West Virginia, Kentucky, you know, the coal mines, and we were closing the coal mines down and the business wasn't the same. And people were like, you know, my granddad worked in a coal mine and my dad worked in a coal mine and now I'm working in a coal mine and they're saying it's closing and we don't have any other way to make money. I'm not proud of this. I said, you know what? That's too bad. They need to learn how to like to become a systems engineer and like move to the coast where there's jobs. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know. Now it's happening on the East Coast, right? Like the jobs are, it's like, oh, well, I got the software engineering job, but now I'm laid off. Now, I will say for software engineering specifically that opportunities like Palantir are great. Cybersecurity and defense technology, you might maybe still be doing okay. But if you have like degrees in, that's a white collar, like strategy or communications or human resource. Well, maybe not I got a human resource development master's degree and I love it. The sort of like paper pushing jobs, although it's a lot more than paper pushing. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but what people can see it as, like, those are gone. A lot of them are gone. And you're like, damn, in DC, that's crazy. It's crazy. Back on prompt, Bruce. Let's not get too emotional. Look at these friendly people. Healthcare, the strongest hiring sector in the DMV, added nearly 16,000 jobs in the DC metro over the past year. And it's projected to continue growing in 2026, which is good because I'm thinking about going back to school to get my license so that I can be a clinician and offer therapy. Strongest hiring sector in the region right now by a significant margin. And I was like, okay, where are these jobs at? Whoa, where are these jobs? Get too comfortable. Okay, if you don't have a clinical license, community health worker, community outreach specialist, health educator, care and navigation, administrative and program. Like, I am a firm believer that if you know the types of problems that you like to solve, you can articulate that, have that be part of your, the elevator pitch is a term that's kind of stale, but if who you are and what you do is so obvious, when you start talking to people, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were into that, or that's what you're looking for. And then when they come across an opportunity, they can say, oh, I know somebody who does this, or I know somebody who just mentioned that they were looking at this. Like, let me connect the two of you. Like, there's still jobs that are being created. A lot of my clients get jobs that are never posted. This sounds like I'm making it up, and I don't want to sound like but I used to hear this be like, a lot of jobs are never posted. And I'm like, well, then how do people get those jobs? They get those jobs because somewhere somebody says, we need to hire somebody. We need help with X, Y, and Z. And we're going to post it. And, but it takes forever to get stuff posted. It takes a while. After that meeting, there's somebody who's running to that person's office and they're like, oh, my brother-in-law used to work at such and such and they did this kind of work. I think he would be great. And he is looking for a job right now. Like, can I tell him about this, or would you want to talk to him? That thing is never going to get posted. That's how people get jobs. One of the ways. Let's say you already got a license. So maybe you were working for the government. I know a lot of LCSWs, licensed clinical social workers who are in the government. You could be doing therapy right now, making money in this area. There's still a lot of people who are employed and who have money and they stressed. They stressed. DC's got the most listen, and I'm one of them. Type A, neurotic, perfectionist or recovering perfectionist, well-intentioned, stressed out, on the verge of barely keeping everything together. And the anxiety and depression, all of it together is like, it's rough. So like, we got jobs in that, if that's a path for you. Where to apply? Listen, I've really dug down into this. In Maryland, Mercy Medical Center, y'all can read it. There's the Maryland stuff, the VA stuff, HealthWorks, federally qualified health center. Get it? I'm getting there while they still taking jobs because they get some of their money from the government. Let's see. Let's keep on moving. I already talked about construction and data centers, cybersecurity and defense. I talked about that already. What's shrinking in the DMV, federal government, we know that. No stabilization signal yet. Uh-oh. Professional services, consulting firms, policy shops, I already said that. DC Tech, I already talked about that. That's talking points. March rebound is real but narrow. What does that mean? I'm saying this to remove the shame and telling you to tighten up your strategy. If you got a career coach, you got somebody who likes being a career coach, you got ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, Perplexity, DeepSeek. Is that the name of it? Whatever. Like, you got to think strategy here. You ain't doing nothing wrong. It's hard. It's hard out here. You know, it's hard out here for a job seeker. If you never saw the movie Hustle and Flow, you might not get that. If you're getting up on the 6-month mark, if you're not at the 6-month mark yet, get your ass in high gear, talk to folks, network, and I know networking, I know that's a weird word, it's a tough word. I'm gonna make some videos on it, but like, get busy. Get busy. I know you got to deal with you got to process your feelings. Yes. I can't believe I was let go or whatever, but it's like, move your ass. Because of no fault of your own, after 6 months, it gets harder because of the way they got these ATS set up. So I'm just saying, before that point, haul ass. After that point, and before that point, think strategy. Okay, we're almost at the end here. I talked about this Palantir Fellowship enough already. Disclosure is your choice, but silence has a cost. It's totally up to you. I talked about Mayor Bowser's talent capital thing. Google it. You'll find it. If you want to see how bad it is, Brookings they do have a pretty cool report on like the job loss that happened in this area. If you want to dig down into that, it's kind of depressing. I did. Takeaways. The job market's tough. But it's tough because nobody's leaving. People aren't really getting fired or getting laid off. I feel like I need to do one of these specifically on, not a briefing, but like to talk about the status of neurodivergent people in the workplace and what they are struggling with. Cause like as I'm going through this, I realize we can be even like the unemployment rate is much higher for neurodivergent folks. There's the 4%, 4.3%. Then, for, oh man, I had these numbers all out for a while ago. Like if you're a black woman in DC, the rate is like higher than 8%, which is crazy because they're the most degreed demographic we got. I had that data somewhere, but I lost it. But it's even higher for neurodivergent folks. So it's hard out here. But what can you do? Well, I can't. This video is already long. What can you do? There are some things you can do. First, we got to frame stuff not as like something's wrong with you or you're doing something wrong. Probably not. Maybe you are, but the market's tough. The best thing I can say is if this is your first, a lot of you, this is your first time hearing anything that I talk about. Understand the types of problems that you like to solve. You need to understand your ADHD or ASD profile. You need to understand what's going on in the market. But like, you need to know your value proposition, right? You need to be able to communicate that to your friends, family, recruiters, headhunter. You need to be able to say it. And if you don't do anything else, at least right now, try to focus on like, these are the types of problems that I like to solve and that I enjoy solving. Like, get really tight and really crisp around that. I don't know exactly the way that I'll roll these videos out, but at some point I'll give some more details on that. For right now, just hang out. I'm trying to do one of these videos every 2 weeks. I got a full client load and I also have ADHD, so it's hard, but I'm trying my best. I really like making these videos, and I'm hoping that this is helpful to you all, or you're walking away with something that you didn't know before, because it's hard out here and I want to help. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you staying till the end of the video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.